3, 2, 1. Dissolve 7. They're on. Music out. Insert. Dissolve 4. Do your move forward. And dissolve 4.
Expect his play and what up his old play. 5 goals, 15 assists, most assists on the team this season.
I'm Jake Piacenti. I was the director / co-producer for Whiteout. I was thinking about hockey as a whole since the summer. So when we found out that Whiteout was going to be in the first semester, I really got to thinking what we wanted to do, what the level of production that I actually wanted to get out of it. When we actually started thinking about just the basics to what we actually put out on air, that whole process took probably about 4 weeks to do. One of the first things that me and Brittany, the producer of the show, what we talked about was pre-produced content, because we knew we had to kind of base our 1 hour pre-game show off of a lot of this pre-produced content in terms of timing and what the story was going to be for the day. Obviously, the story of this game was we haven't won this Whiteout game in 6 years, so that was something that we were going to obviously touch on a lot during at least the first half of the pre-game show. But the first thing that we really actually physically did was shoot the interviews with the players that we got. We've done interviews plenty of times in the past, but we know we wanted this one to be the most professional looking one that we've done so far. So we didn't want to just go in the locker room, set up a light and just do it. We really wanted to set up like a set almost. We wanted to do it on the ice, have like 2 backlights, a couple fill lights, have him in a director's chair and really make this thing look really nice. The problem was we couldn't get reserved ice time with the amount of time that we had before the game. So that wasn't going to be an option for us, which was very unfortunate. But plan B was to do it in the bleachers, which is how we did it for the game. I knew I wanted to have them sit low on the bleachers and have a nice blown out background with the seats behind them. And we did it very simple we had 1 backlight and we had 1 fill light. It's a very simple setup, but it looked fantastic. We had 2 cameras. We had the main camera in front. It was like a tight bust shot for the most part. And then we had like an off-angle, tight shot, more just for cutaways when they slurred on their words or something like that. We can cut away from it. So that was very beneficial.
How do you think it went today?
I thought it went really well. We got some good stuff. The interviews went really good. I have to edit all this now, so that's gonna be fun. But I'm really excited to see how these turn out. Whiteout during the pregame show. I think it's gonna look really good. We were kind of crunched for time because the time that we got these set up, we had like a week and a half left till show. So we pulled all-nighters probably by 3 times before the show. Probably within that week, we pulled about 3 all-nighters before the show even aired. And one of those nights, it was just dedicated to editing these clips, because to the typical fan, the game's the most important, but to us, back here in the control room and doing all the pregame, all of that is the most important thing of the day. So we had to make sure all of that stuff was perfect. So we pulled about 2 all-nighters just doing video clips. When me and Brittany sat down to make the rundown for the show, I kind of wanted to model it after an MSG type of broadcast. Only reason because they usually cater to one side of the game, meaning the team. So we always cater to the Oswego fan base. Putting all the pieces together, we didn't really want to talk too much about Plattsburgh, and we kind of wanted to focus on Oswego. So MSG's style is very fast in terms of how they get their content out. Very short blocks. So I think our longest block was A block, and that was 6 minutes long. Everything else was 2, 3, 4 minute long blocks, which is how we wanted it because it keeps the show flowing. It makes talent look better because they don't have to ramble on so long, and it gives us time to build shorter elements. So all the graphics and everything, that really helped us out with the shorter blocks because we can fit, we didn't have as much time to fill, so it was a lot less talking heads on camera and more graphic video clip elements to the show, which is what we wanted out of this. Because when you leave talent on too long and they're just rambling, it gets very boring. So we wanted to keep the pace moving fast, and we also wanted to fit as much content as possible. Talking to Brittany and a couple other people that were working with the producing elements of the show, and I was saying how this is kind of like our Stanley Cup, like our Winter Classic of the NHL. And I was thinking to myself, every time you watch one of those games, their graphic elements are specific to that event. So I'm thinking we gotta brand this differently. It's not just Hockey Night in Oswego, which is what our usual shows are. This is Whiteout in Oswego. That's how we wanted to brand it, and that's exactly what we did. And I sprung this project on our graphic director, Stephanie Ianza. I came up to her 3 days or 4 days before the game, and I'm like, Steph, I know you're very busy, but I got a task for you. I need you to build a logo for the show.
It was stressful when Jake told me that he came up with the idea, and once he told me, it was like I was stressed out because I had so much schoolwork since it was also finals week. But he made a good point that this wasn't gonna be like any of our other broadcasts. We were going all out on everything, on audio, on cameras, and he thought the same thing should be done for graphics. And he was right. Like, the show did need a new look because this wasn't Hockey Night in Oswego. This was Whiteout. So I agreed to build him the logo in the limited time I had, and that day that I was assigned the job, that night I just started sketching. I did a few sketches here and there. I looked through what other logos there were because Jake showed me the hockey classic logos. So I took a lot of inspiration from there, especially the font and the look, because they look very nice and clean. I came up to 2 final sketches, and from then on I finally picked that one that I actually really did like. And while building the sketches, one thing I noticed from the other logos was that whatever city the game was going on, the classic was going on, they had a monument from that city. So I wanted to incorporate that same a monument in our logo as well. So, and I remember there was a lighthouse, and I remember there's also the big smoking factory too. So I decided to go with the lighthouse just because I feel like everybody knew everybody knew the lighthouse. Everybody knew it was over there at the edge. It was just something, whoever saw this logo knew it was going to be the Oswego Lighthouse, and that was going to be our monument for this game.
As me and Brittany were talking about producing the show in terms of the content, I was also talking to Justin Kraus and Chris Tenuto, who was doing the engineering aspect of the game. And this is something that we haven't done in this control room or in this building at all. We usually have 5 cameras, sometimes 6 if we're lucky, on a hockey game, and we're really happy with it. And we could have made it work with 5 or 6 cameras, but we knew we wanted to push the envelope a little bit more. So Andrew Gilbert, who was on the engineering team, said that he can get us 8 cameras for the show. So when he kind of told us that, we were kind of like, that's never been done before. I don't even think that's even possible. And he kind of proved us wrong, and we got 8 cameras for the show. So once we realized that we can get 8 cameras for the show, that opened a whole new door of opportunity to do more stuff. I knew that we wanted to get shots of our coaches on the other side of the rink, so we got a camera on the other side. And that kind of was a game changer for us because we can always do cutaways with the coach and get a different angle of replay. So when we realized what we can actually do in the arena in terms of the setup and where we can put our cameras, we sat down and we strategically planned out where we were going to put our cameras and our microphones and why we were putting it there. So what we kind of put together was we had our standard 3 cameras. We had camera 1, 2, and 3 in their normal positions, in the back corner, the front corner, and the center game cam. And then we had our 2 corner cameras, one in the lower right-hand corner and one in the lower left-hand corner. And then we had our wireless camera that was able to walk around, go in the locker room, follow our sideline reporter around, and also do the hits out in the hallway, which you saw in the pregame show. With all that in mind, we had everything strategically placed for a specific reason. We had the corner cams so we can get the banging against the glass when they would skate up pretty fast to it, and anything that was kind of any rough play in the corner, those were great to cut to then. And we also had all the cutaway shots for when a whistle was blown, and that's something that a lot of people don't think of. It's like, oh, when there's a break, that's usually when you can relax. Back here in the control room, it's the complete opposite. When a whistle blows, that's mostly when we go to work. So when a whistle would blow, I would have a shot immediately to cut to because we had 8 cameras shooting the game at one time, and everybody was given a responsibility during the show. So each camera during a certain time during the game had a responsibility, so I had something different to cut to every single time a whistle was blown. I wasn't getting the same person on 6 cameras because everybody was assigned something different. So that was one of the things, like instead of just doing the content of what the talent was saying and all the elements we were putting up, we were also thinking about in-game situations and what we had to cut to and when to tell the best story, because you want to match the pictures to what talent's talking about. So I'm listening to talent speak and I'm also trying to match those pictures to what they're saying, so it makes sense for the viewer at home. If they're talking about Richer in goal, I want to get a shot of Richer in goal. I don't want to show Plattsburgh just skating around. That doesn't make any sense to the storyline. So that was something that we thought of, and that was something that everybody on crew knew that I wanted to do, and they would do with their responsibility and not just shoot all the fun stuff.
And that is going to be saved away once again by David Richer.
And in the last couple of shifts, Richer's had 2 or 3 saves. Not the best saves, not the hardest ones to stop, but he's only faced a couple shots. So for him to stay active mentally and really invested in this game despite not seeing many shots this period.
So besides cameras and pictures, one of the most important things in a sports broadcast is audio. You have to be able to hear everything that's going on at a given time. You want to match the pictures with the audio and vice versa. So we strategically placed our microphones in locations where we knew we were going to use them the most. So what we had 5 effects mics on the ice for getting skates, sticks, checking the puck, all of that stuff. And then we had 3 crowd mics in the student section, because that's usually the loudest point of the arena. So we had the crowd mics to get that sound, and then the 5 mics, we replaced them. We had 2, all the effects mics were wireless. So that really helped us out. We didn't have to run any cable for that, because that would have been a nightmare. But we placed 2 lavs, and we stuck the lav microphone in between the glass. So we were getting really clean audio without any disturbance from glass or anybody talking. It was just getting sound from the rink, which was fantastic. It sounded amazing. We placed 2 wireless microphones in the corners where the corner cams were. So if I were to take one of those corner cams, Billy Cronin, who was doing audio that night, knew to ride up that microphone when I took that camera to get that sound, because that camera is very close to the action, so you want to hear the audio very close to the action. So he would take that microphone and he would ride it up.
Nadal tried to swing it over to Sullivan, but Sullivan wasn't able to have it as Philip Middleton, great defense by him, was putting it to Pissarro, but instead that was deflected off by Jacob Enval. Enval, nothing much there, so he's going to try to clear.
So we had those 2 microphones there. We had one in the center by the clock operator. And the reason why we did this, because sometimes during a game, and what actually happened was, the refs would go and talk to the clock operators about anything with the scoreboard or any timing elements, and we wanted to be able to hear that. So we put one right in front of the clock operator, and during the game they went over to discuss something about the clock and the timing, so we rode that microphone up and you can hear what they were talking about.
Absolutely. As the officials are discussing something, we're not really sure, but we will let you know on what they are discussing about. It usually helps a faster team.
You're good with the penalties, right?
When Plattsburgh's pumping, they need that next goal. So Oswego's got to do a good job dumping it in.
When you're watching the game on WTOPs, you can hear and get other information that people in the game don't even get. And that was something that we were really proud of, that we successfully did, was place these microphones in a way where we get great stick and puck noise, but also you get to hear the game as if you're standing in that location at that time.
Look at that! Joshua Bush, the 5'10" freshman from Inverry, Ontario. And those Oswego Sid Lakers are now up by a score of 2-0.
When the puck dropped, I felt the whole weight come off my shoulders, because the most preparation that we put into was the pregame, the intermission, and the postgame show. So the game itself, we don't know what's going to happen. None of that was planned for us, so there was nothing that we could control during the game. So at that point, you're cutting cameras and you're matching voice to picture. That's all you're really doing during the game. And to us, that's the easiest part. When we came out of the first period and there was no goals scored, it was kind of just like typical whiteout. Usually it's a very low scoring game for the past few years anyway. But I thought that we had everything planned out producing wise of what we were going to go to and what timing we were going to do it at. We knew we wanted to reserve anything that happened with with goals or anything along those lines, we were going to save for play-by-play and color to analyze. And all the other elements in terms of physicality, shots, the crowd, all of those things, we wanted to have the analysts, the perch crew handle that stuff.
Well, Josh LeBlanc scored the second goal in the contest, but it didn't look pretty, but he was able to find the back of the net as he went 5-hole on Jimmy Barrier.
Right, his first goal as a Laker in the regular season for the freshman, and what a goal and what an effort by Zizek here. Really an impressive effort by the two. You go in on a 2-on-1, and Zizek picks it up just inside the blue line, puts the defender Pizzo in a spin cycle, and you see LeBlanc get the first shot. Paredes makes a save, but you'll see here on the second look that it goes off of the leg of LeBlanc and trickles into the 5-hole.
During that first intermission, everything was going great. Graphics were made. We had replays of everything that we were talking about, and we had great interviews with alumni.
Here in Oswego, brought to you by WTOP 10 Movies on Demand. I'm here with Ed Balaban, class of 73, and Joe Balaban, class of 76. Two important alumni here from Oswego.
Second intermission, everything, same deal, was planned out. Everything went smooth. Sideline reporter got interviews. Everything was working great. We got through the third period with a win. And to be completely honest, the win, it didn't even matter to us back here. Like, yeah, obviously we were very excited because we are Oswego students, but we're still just doing a show. We're doing a broadcast, so it didn't matter who really won. But covering a win is definitely more fun than covering a loss because the team is way more animate in talking to us during interviews. The excitement in the building is just so much more lively. So with a win, even though it doesn't really matter to us so much back here, it's just so much easier and so much better to cover when you come out with a win. So having that not been done in 6 years, I think a lot of people back here were kind of a little bit on edge. They want to get excited, but we all kind of kept our cool and follow through with the show.
That is going to be taken away by Cam Owens, and Oswego just threatening in the Cardinal zone. Ryan Kuhn tries to give it over, but instead Plattsburgh's just going to give it up, and the drought is over. Oswego State is going to win this one by a score of 4-0. The crowd is waving their towels, and it ends at 6, Matt.
From start to finish, Whiteout was a complete success, and it got labeled by an alumni the best show that's ever been done in this building. And when we all heard that, we knew all of this has been appreciated and all of this hard work has been seen. And we all, I think, are going to take that coming out of Oswego to wherever we go, that this got labeled to this date the best show that's been done in the Marano Campus Center. And me being in charge of that is something that I will never forget, and something that I think future classes should look to and base their shows off of and try to beat us, because that's what you want to do. You want to be better than the next year or than the last year. So I think we set the bar pretty high, but I would love to see somebody beat it, because that's what this is all about.
No question. I mean, honestly, this is the best broadcast that's been done in this building, without question. And you're right. Everybody can take credit for this, because it's no one person that pulls these things off, as you see. Honestly, this is like, forget it. Best ever. And you all deserve it.